Welcome back to Show Me the Math Receipts. I'm Asali Smith, founder of Number Navigators, and I'm so glad that you're here. If it's your first time, I want you to go back and listen to episode 1 when you get a chance. We talked about the most expensive phrase in mathematics education, where it comes from, and what it costs. It sets the foundation for everything we're building together on this show. If you're back, let's get into it. I want to start with a small experiment. I need you to actually do this with me. Participate. Don't just listen. I'm going to give you a math problem. And I want you to notice, not the answer. I want you to notice what happens in your body the moment I say it. You ready? 7 times 8. What just happened? Did you feel like a flicker of something, a small surge of pressure? Did your brain start racing? Did you feel like a wave of relief when you landed on the answer, or a flash of embarrassment because it took maybe a half second longer than you thought it should? Here's what's interesting about that experiment. 7 times 8 is a problem most adults can solve without much thought. But the moment I framed it as something you were expected to produce on demand, something shifted. That shift is anxiety. And it happened in about 1 second. Now picture being an 8-year-old. That feeling happening every single day in front of your classmates with a timer on the board, and the kid next to you's already got their hand up. That is what we're going to be talking about today. Over to you, Josh.
It's time for Math Joke of the Day. Who do math teachers like to hang out with? A very small circle of friends. But ching. Oh.
Moving on. Now, before I get into the research, I need to tell you about a conversation that happened in public, in real time. It's the reason this episode even exists in the form that it does today. A few weeks ago, I posted something on LinkedIn. I wrote that speed may be one of the biggest drivers of math anxiety. That when quick responses get praised, students who need more time start to feel inadequate. That attention shifts from making sense of an idea to simply keeping up. That without anyone intending it, the classroom messages become clear. Finishing quickly matters more than actually grasping the concept. And then I asked one question. Share one way that you protect thinking time in math. Ooh. Over 30,000 people engaged. More than 300 educators at all varying levels stopped what they were doing to respond. Many of those responses sounded like relief. Like finally someone said it. Educators sharing strategies, naming the problem, validating what they had observed in their own classrooms for years. But not everyone agreed. And the educators who pushed back deserve their time in this episode because their arguments were real and some of them were right about things, even when I think they may have landed on the wrong conclusion. A science teacher responded and made a genuine argument. If someone takes 5 minutes to read a single sentence, she said, they're not a fluent reader. And when a person takes 5 minutes to do a simple division problem, then they're not a fluent mathematician. She agreed that understanding should come first, but argued that fluency without any efficiency is not actually fluency. She pushed back on what she saw as the education world swinging from one extreme to another. The old way was extreme. The new way, she argued, is also extreme. Pick the middle path. So I wanted to sit with that for a minute because she's not wrong that fluency has an efficiency component. Absolutely. the research actually agrees with her on that narrow point. We're going to get to that. An engineer in the comments went further. He said, real life has time limits. Jobs have deadlines. Standardized tests are timed. His argument was that the time pressure serves a legitimate function in some contexts, that it tests something real about performance under conditions students will actually face. A classroom teacher shared that daily timed multiplication practice had created genuine positive change in her room. Her students tracked their own progress. They celebrated each other's growth. She was not describing a competition. She was describing a growth model, and she said that building automaticity built confidence. And then a mathematician said simply, with good teaching, clear planning, and the right curriculum, every student can learn. That when students struggle, it's usually because they missed or did not understand an earlier concept. And that the answer is to find that gap, not to remove the expectation of mastery. I am not dismissing any of those voices. They are educators and professionals with real classroom experience. And the tension that they're naming between understanding and fluency, between expectation and patience, between reducing pressure and preparing students for a world that has pressure in it, that tension is real. It lives in every math classroom every day. Here's where I land and where the research lands with me. Nobody in this conversation is arguing that fluency doesn't matter. Of course it matters. The question has never been whether students need to develop automaticity with mathematical facts. The question is, what are we doing to their relationship with mathematics in the process of building automaticity? Whether the method we have been using, putting a timer on, calling on the fastest hand, running mad minutes, and one I hadn't heard of, around the world, is actually producing the fluency we want, or whether it's producing the performance of fluency in the students who were going to develop it anyway, while quietly closing the door on students who were not. That is the question. And that is what the receipts are for. Dr. Joe Boller at Stanford has shown through the years of research that timed math activities are among the most significant triggers of math anxiety in students. And the finding extends beyond students who struggle. It includes high achievers, students who finished first, and the adults who became math teachers. Sion Belloc at the University of Chicago showed that math anxiety impairs working memory, the part of the brain where you need to solve problems in real time. The pressure to go fast actually makes it harder to think. Speed pressure does not reveal who knows the math. It reveals who can perform under stress. Those are not always the same students. And here is the piece that directly addresses the classroom teacher's point about timed practice builds confidence. What she described is not a traditional time test. What she described is a growth model, like I said before, individual improvement, no comparison to others, genuine celebration of personal progress. That is meaningfully different from a competitive speed exercise. The timer in her classroom was measuring growth. In most classrooms, it is measuring performance relative to the student sitting next to you. That distinction matters enormously. Real mathematical fluency has 3 components. Accuracy. Are they getting it right? Flexibility. Can they use more than one strategy? Efficiency, which can include speed, develops when the first two are solid. When we chase speed before accuracy and flexibility are in place, we undermine the very foundation of what we're trying to build. The science teacher said, pick the middle path. I agree with her on that. The middle path is conceptual understanding first, fluency through practice, and then efficiency as an outcome rather than an opening requirement. That is what the receipts show. I want to speak to a few different people in this audience. If you're a classroom teacher, when was the last time you timed your students during math? And when you did, what were you actually measuring? Timed performance and mathematical fluency are not the same thing. A student can be genuinely fluent with multiplication facts and still freeze under a timer. The timer does not measure the math. It measures the anxiety. If you're using timed activities in a way that tracks individual growth, removes comparison, and creates safety, that's a different conversation. But if the timer is producing winners and losers, even silently, it's worth examining what you're actually building. If you're a math coach or an instructional leader, you've probably tried to have this conversation. You may have sat across from a teacher who said, but they need to know their facts. I know I've heard that many, many times. And they're right. Students, of course, need to know their facts. The disagreement is about the path. Is anxiety an effective route to fluency? The research says no. You have the evidence. Use it. And when a teacher shows you that timed practice can work inside of a growth-oriented, non-comparative environment, learn from that too. The goal is not to eliminate the challenge. The goal is to stop using fear as the vehicle. If you are a pre-service teacher, hear this. Please hear this before you give your first timed assessment. You're going to feel pressure to move fast. Pacing guides, benchmark calendars, colleagues who swear by fun Friday fact sprints. I just made that up. Let me say that again. Fun Friday fact sprints.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin. Because a teacher calls it fun does not mean it is actually fun. And now back to our regularly scheduled program.
That pressure is real. I am not telling you to ignore all of it on one day. Know what you're measuring before you measure it. Know the difference between fluency and speed. Know that there are ways to build both without building anxiety alongside them. And if you found this podcast because you were that kid, the one who froze, who counted on their fingers under their desk, there's nothing wrong with counting on your fingers when you need them, who decided somewhere around third grade that math was not for you, the research vindicates you. You are not slow. You are not bad at math. You are a human being responding to pressure in a completely predictable, neurologically documented way. Someone should have told you that a long time ago. Now, 3 things you can do this week. Whatever your role. 1, audit your language around speed. How often do you say, quickly, or hurry, or who can tell me fast, or you should know this by now? Start noticing. Start replacing. Take your time and think it through. costs nothing and signals everything. 2, separate fluency from speed in your own mind first. Fluency is accuracy, flexibility, and efficiency. Speed is downstream of all three. Internalize that distinction and it will change what you design, what you assess, and what you celebrate. And number 3, if you use timed activities, ask yourself one honest question. What would I lose if I removed the timer? If the answer is the learning, then the timer was not doing what you thought. If the answer is the urgency, ask whether the urgency is what your students actually need more of right now. Try it without the timer once. Just once. Watch what happens to the room. Students who feel safe think better. Students who think better learn more deeply. Students who learn more deeply don't need a timer to prove it. That is the receipt for today. To every educator who pushed back on my LinkedIn post, thank you. Genuinely thank you. The conversation is better because you're in it. Disagreement done with honesty and respect is exactly what this field needs more of. You showed up with your receipts. So did I. And that's how this is supposed to work. If this episode resonated, share it. Send it to a colleague who still swears by Mad Minute Mondays or Fun Fact Fluency Freaky Friday. Send it to your department chair. Send it to the student teacher you're mentoring. You know, the one who's about to design their first unit. Next time on Show Me the Math Receipts, every educator in this audience has felt this, but most have not had language for it yet. It is the moment when helping a student becomes the most harmful thing you can do. We're going to call it the rescue reflex, and it will change how you stand in your classroom. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. Share with someone that you know, someone that you want to build, and give us the hashtag #ShowMeTheMathReceipts. I'm Asali Smith. This is Show Me the Math Receipts, and until next time, teach boldly, protect student thinking, and always keep your math receipts.